Trump leaves major housing bill in limbo, demanding Congress pass the SAVE Act. President Donald Trump abruptly canceled his plans to sign a major bipartisan housing bill Wednesday, saying he would not do so until Congress passed the Save American Act, a sweeping election bill that has become a focal point of his second term. Today's housing news conference and signing is hereby canceled until such time as we pass the desperately needed Save American Act, which I consider to be a national emergency, he said on Trust Social. It was not clear whether he still plans to sign the housing bill or veto it. Trump did not address the bill at all in comments to reporters after he met with Republican senators for lunch on Capitol Hill. Wednesday's surprise development underscores the growing tension between Trump and Senate Republicans, many of whom have said they feel blindsided by the president's action and find that his unpredictability makes it harder to pass his agenda. Trump's undercutting of a rare bipartisan achievement also frustrated many senators who say they need to show voters results on key economic concerns ahead of the midterm election. Trump has repeatedly pressed Republicans to pass the Save American Act, which will overhaul elections in all 50 states and add new proof of citizenship and voter ID requirements. But Republican leaders insist they do not have the voters to pass it, giving Democrats strong opposition and unwillingness among Republicans to get rid of a filibuster, changing the rules to get rid of the 60-vote threshold to pass most legislation. Trump's decision to cancel the signing ceremony for the housing bill, which passed the House and the Senate this week with huge bipartisan majorities, will only add to the tension between the White House and Senate Republicans. Trump attended the Senate GOP's weekly lunch after having been invited by Senator Rick Scott, Republican Florida, to discuss SAVE and other issues. The invitation predated Trump's decision not to sign the housing bill Wednesday. After the meeting, Trump told reporters that the party is unified and taught the U.S. economy in a state of talks to end the Iran war, but he did not address the housing bill or the Save American Act. He did not take questions. We are very proud of the party. We like our leader. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay, he said. Several senators told NBC News that Trump did not focus much on the housing bill during the lunch, talking instead about the election bill and the Iran war. The latter led to a contentious back and forth between Trump and Senator Bill Cassidy, a Republican of Louisiana, who was defeated by a Trump-backed challenger last month. Cassidy told reporters that he stood up and lost my temper over a lack of information from the administration on Iran. Trump, he said, raised his voice as well. Cassidy recounted, telling Trump that the war was supposed to last 4 weeks. It lasted 4 months. Our original objective have not been achieved, and I want to know what's going on. Cassidy added that Trump brought up his election loss, but he said the comments did not discourage him. A spokesperson for Cassidy said later on Wednesday that the senator received a briefing in the White House Situation Room on Iran following his contentious exchange with Trump. Special envoy Steve Witkoff led the briefing. Senator Tommy Tuberville from Alabama said of the exchange between Cassidy and Trump, it wasn't personal. It was just one of those things about losing an election. Tom Tillis of North Carolina, another Republican who will not be returning next year after public clash with Trump, said not all of the meetings was contentious, but there's a general consensus that we all, Capitol Hill, have to start getting to lockstep in the White House, vice versa. We both have to coordinate, make sure our message and timing is in better sync. Senator Tim Bank, Indiana, describes the meeting as a tough love message from Trump in a post on X. Trump handed out MAGA hats to senators during the lunch, according to a source familiar with the meeting. Republicans said they have repeatedly made it clear that they do not have the votes to nuke the filibuster, regardless of Trump's demands to do so. I think everybody walk out with the very same opinion. They have become, or before he came in, Senator Kevin Cramer said other filibuster, but we heard him out. Cramer said he did not know what would happen with the housing bill after the meeting. The bipartisan bill aims to lower costs in part of the building more homes and restricting large investors from buying up single-family houses. It would give Republicans a major legislative accomplishment to point to as voters rank the cost of living as a top issue in the November election. It is the kind of thing Republicans have been clamoring for amid worries that the Iran war is driving up gas prices would cost them control of Congress. But Trump undercut the bill just hours before he canceled the plan, signing, writing in another Truth Social post that it was minor importance before he pivoted back to the Save America Act. Senate Majority Leader John Thune laughed when reporters asked him about Trump's counseling to sign it. I just heard that. I guess I would say at this point, I don't have any observation about that, he said. House Speaker Mike Johnson from Louisiana defended Trump's decision to hold up the housing bill as leverage for the Save America Act. He has a window of time before he has to sign a bill, and he's going to use a little bit more of that window of time, and we're going to go through this together, Johnson said as a House GOP leadership news conference, and that it is his estimation that Trump will sign it within the 10-day window the Constitution sets for the president to sign bills before they automatically become law. Johnson said Republicans should pass the Save America Act through budget reconciliation and expedient procedure that allows the Senate to circumvent filibusters like advancing bipartisan tax or spending bills with simple majorities. Other House Republicans were dumbfounded by Trump's decision, but spoke candidly on conditions of anonymity. What shit show. Crazy. A House Republican said in a text to NBC News, a once-in-a-generation housing bill falls victims to the nuts. Another less surprise, Trump did something outrageous to keep the spotlight focused on him. Shocker. And the third House Republicans who represent the district Trump won handily in 2024 warned about the potential consequences for November. I'm not that safe. No incumbents is safe. The Republicans wrote, people are pissed off that we are not taking care of business. At a meeting in the Oval Office with Republican lawmakers in recent weeks, assembly to discuss housing affordability legislation, Trump talked about his building stuff for all but about 15 minutes, said a person familiar with the meeting. He then said, I don't care about housing, but if you want me to help, I will. The person added, the housing bill was negotiated across the House and the Senate by committee leaders in both parties, Senator Tim Scott and Elizabeth Warren, and Representative French Hill and Maxine Waters. Trump focused on Warren in his Truth Social post, calling the measure a Warren-centric housing bill. Same House Republican expressed support for Trump's focus on the Save America Act. A group of GOP lawmakers led by Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida have now vowed to block any legislation in the House until Congress passed the election bill. The effort forced the House to cancel rules votes Wednesday afternoon that would have brought several bills to the floor this week. Luna said on X that she will have to be no on rules for this week and maybe even longer. Without rule votes, which are typically approved along party lines, the House cannot bring forward bills to be debated and voted on. Democrats were quick to capitalize. Congress passed a bipartisan bill to make it easier to own a home. Representative Jason Crow, a Democrat from Colorado, wrote on X, "The president is refusing to sign it. Donald Trump doesn't care about lowering costs for you." Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York said Trump was making such a fool of himself by refusing to sign a bill that would make housing more affordable. But he added, it looks like even if Trump decides to veto it, there are probably enough votes in both houses to override the veto.